Good afternoon, and welcome to another lackluster episode of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your lackadaisical and lachrymose host, Voice of Doom. Hello, everybody. Alright, I know I just did a diatribe, but I figured I'd do another one because the last one wasn't that good, but I did get a new subscriber, which is good because I don't have very many. His name is Prince Vince, and he subscribed, and I checked out his channel. Seems to have a playlist of a lot of obscure songs, but I haven't had time to listen to them yet. But I will check them out, and if he likes obscure songs, I invite Vince to go to my channel and go to my playlists, and I have a list of songs I wrote, and they're pretty damn obscure, and they're all different. There's no particular style. So that's one thing I'm happy about, is I can be pretty various, pretty eclectic when it comes to writing a song. I don't get stuck in a rut, but I haven't written that many, so. I also got a comment from a David Sarfati, which I appreciate because I don't get very many comments, so whenever I get acknowledgement, I try to reciprocate. It'd be great if I got 10,000 comments on, one YouTube, so I wouldn't have time to respond, but I do have time to respond because I only have 22 subscribers. Now, I wanted to do this diatribe so that I could bury my last one quickly, because I went out on a limb and I said that there would be some incident at the Vatican, and there wasn't. At least not yet. And they chose a new pope, and it's the first American pope from America, the United States. So whether that bodes well or evil, I have no idea. But it's interesting. It'll be the first pope that actually speaks articulate English, so, when he makes a speech once in a while, we'll be able to understand him because it won't be all in Latin. So Domine Pacem, or whatever they say, para tutti. Anyway, I didn't really have a lot to say this time, but it's the same old subjects cropping up over and over again, and the same old canards and straw men and distractions to keep us from worrying about the big things. So even though I've talked about it ad infinitum, I will go back to my comments about this transgender phenomena, which seems to be not dying down anytime soon. And I guess Colorado made some new laws. Now, see, that's the problem with when things get out of hand is, it gets to the point where people are just anti-something because they take it too far, which the transgender community, which they're not really a community, has done. And I've already explained, and you can go to one of my playlists and see a whole slew of stuff on transgender. So I don't want to repeat myself too much, but the fact of the matter is there are a lot of people that just want to be on the fringe, and so they call themselves transgender, and they're not. And there's a social contagion, and there's a certain amount of cachet in being sexually or genderly different than the norm. And I've noticed something over the last few years that I don't know if everybody else has noticed, but there's a lot more gay people than there ever was as far as the youth. A lot more. And there's a lot more so-called transgenders now. This can't be just a social contagion, because no matter how contagious something is, you don't choose to do something that goes against your basic human urges. I could not choose to be gay just because it's cool, because the idea of it just doesn't appeal to me one bit. And I'm pretty open-minded, but just no way I could just choose something just to be jumping on the bandwagon. And so I don't think that most of this is a choice, and I think it has something to do with our nutritional intake and what substances are in our food and water that have genetically modified human beings to be neutered. Maybe it's the same reason that when you put 20 rats in a small cage, they don't procreate anymore, because it's just a natural thing that they just know that there's too many. And so their biological systems kind of go a different way, and they don't, have any more. I don't know how all that stuff works. I took evolution in college, but I didn't do very well. But I have a feeling that something has been put into our substances to change our natural bodily fluids, as they said in Dr. Strangelove. But Colorado made some laws, and everybody's up in arms about it, and I looked at the laws, and they're really not that big a deal. Most of them have to do with name changes. Now, of course, they say if you don't adhere to the wishes of the person, you could be facing charges, which gets a little bit out of hand. And they also added one that part of the law that says if there's two parents getting divorced and they have a transgender kid, and one parent refuses to acknowledge and the other parent does, then that could weigh in on their ability to get custody. Now, it actually makes sense, because, whether they're transgender for real, or whether they pretend to be, or whether they are gay or what have you, if you have one parent that's hostile to it, then I think it would be natural to have the kid be with the parent that's more understanding, just to keep the peace. Doesn't make sense to say, this mother hates her son because he wants to be a girl, and so we'll put the kid with the mother. Now, come on. Everything was left alone. These things would take care of themselves naturally without laws. But they couldn't leave it alone, could they? They had to push it, and they were pushed into pushing it to become useful idiots for the big mucky mucks up there that want to see strife and division. Speaking of strife and division, I guess they're still going ape in the college campuses about these, Israeli-Hamas conflict. And even though basically you haven't heard a whole heck of a lot about what's going on in Gaza, word on the street is that Netanyahu is getting ready to make a major push to solve this whole thing once and for all. So I'd say it's the quiet before the storm, or the calm before the storm, and we will be seeing a conflagration soon there. Now, just as we're starting to try to wind down the Ukraine war, and the Middle East, Israel, will be in a full-on huge thing soon. Another war crops up its ugly head. Conflict that's been going on for decades and decades, probably hundreds of years, between Pakistan and India. They've hated each other since time immemorial, and now they're bombing each other. And I guess Pakistan has nuclear weapons, and probably India has nuclear weapons, and they're afraid that this could get out of hand. So one more thing for Orangey to worry about, but it's always out of left field, you know. You're worried about here and here, and then all of a sudden over here goes all to hell. You know, his example is like World War II. It's like we're all worried about, you know, whether we should get into the war, and Europe is, you know, falling apart, being taken over lock, stock, and barrel by the Nazis, and should America get involved? Well, no. And then suddenly Pearl Harbor's attacked. Something totally unexpected from left field that they didn't expect. Well, they might have expected it, but they didn't expect it on that scale. And then all of a sudden the whole game changes and we're at total world war. Okay, same thing could happen now. So I'm a little worried about that. What else is happening in the news? Not a whole lot. It's just that, you know, these trends, you know, crop up out of nowhere, and then they're sustained for a while, and it becomes a big problem, and then it goes away. I give you Tesla. Now, a month ago, the big thing was all these wokester idiot morons were burning Teslas because they didn't like Elon. So they're burning electric cars, which they have been proponents of for years, and causing all kinds of environmental disasters because they don't like Elon, and it becomes an epidemic, and it's happening all over. And then all of a sudden, Orangey says, yeah, we're going to start prosecuting these guys big time, and all of a sudden it kind of dies down. I haven't heard about any Tesla incident in a few weeks. So it's just like everything else. Freeway shootings were big in LA for about 2 months, and all of a sudden it went away. So these wokesters always have to find a new issue to take issue with. But I guess this campus business is getting kind of out of hand, and I think it's going to get worse and worse because Orangey is going to definitely deport every student visa-ite out of those colleges that cause a ruckus, and I think he should. And on the same token, we have kids in the streets of New York creating a ruckus and robbing people and flagrantly committing crimes because they know in America you can do whatever you want if you're a kid. And I think they're going to crack down on them too. And I think what might happen is some of these mini Trendeaguas, the Diablos, are going to be arrested, and they're going to be taken back to their parents, and their parents are going to be deported. Now, I wouldn't want to be the kid that snatched a purse or kicked a cop facing my dad when he's packing his bags to go back to Ecuador. I just think it'd be an uncomfortable situation. I mean, my dad would be pissed. I spent $7,000 I still owe to the cartel, and now we're being sent back because of you. So that's going to be a mess, I mean, for them. But they were born into their own mess. And last but not least, I'll talk about the resurgence and the return, the triumphant return of Petri Dish to the world stage. I'm going to go out and do some interviews. which I encourage and I endorse. I hope Petri Dish is out there every single day making speeches as we watch him deteriorate more and more. And he can say really stupid things, and one day he'll say something that he probably didn't mean to say, but he's so addled with dementia that he will just utter something that will totally change everything. But he went on The View, and they're all hugging. Oh my God, you were such a great president, and everything was great until, Orangey took over, and now look where we're at. Giving him all these kudos for what a great job he did as president. Now, these viewites, I mean, they just made their bed, and now they have to lay in it. It's sickening because they know that they're wrong, and they know that Petri Dish was a disaster, and they can't bring themselves to admit that they were wrong and that Orangey's not that bad, because the hatred for Orangey transcends time and space. And I've already told you why. There's no getting around it. It's not going to change. There's a karmic relationship where they will hate him for millions of millennia, lifetime after lifetime. They will be reborn in the same planet over and over again, and they will hate him or her or whatever it turns out to be. But it was fun to watch Petri mumble and fumble and have his wife come to his rescue and explain how everybody was wrong and we should have never dropped out. And I would have won if I would have been allowed to run, but I wanted to do what was best for the country by dropping out. So you analyze it for 10 seconds and you realize he's not making sense. He's actually damning himself. So I enjoy watching Petri Dish, and I hope that he is around for a while to make a fool of himself, because it reminds people of what we had, and what we have now is way better, and there's just no getting around that. So I didn't say much. I just touched on a few bases. I wanted to do a new diatribe for my new subscriber, and thank you. I'm picking up steam. I actually got 22 subscribers, and I got a few comments here and there. So I will talk to you next time, and enjoy this fine weekend. Bye.